Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Deviation Corporation. Today we are tackling the second part of the worst thing that happened to reviewing since Roger Ebert's death. And first, I would like to give a shout out to three people: Lucas DM, Jacob Ross, and Rick Worley. In the description are three links which help you understand the reference from about the level of references Lucas does. Let us begin with the video.
Number 2, the story.
Right off the bat, there is a big problem. And the story, your description of the story is very short. It's like 10 minutes. Well, that's considering that, like, if a story is, as you say, the second biggest problem in the Phantom Menace, I believe you should delve into it for at least an hour, at most.
The problem with the Phantom Menace is the whole story and the way it was told. It's almost mind-boggling how complex the awfulness is.
This is a psychological trick that they're using, where they're saying it's awful, like, as a given, and then explaining why instead of just looking at the events. And then, because if you look at the events for yourself, you can clearly see that it's a movie, but it's not as bad as these people say.
I could tell something was really wrong, just by the way it started. It opens with some boring pilot asking for permission to land on a ship that looks like a half.
See how he contradicts himself by saying it opens with some boring pilot looking to land on a ship. Yet in his first review, he says
his least favorite film in the series is The Empire Strikes Back because it was the most boringest one.
There's some conflict. He contradicts himself not once, but twice by saying this is boring.
Figures walk into a room in a completely flat angle.
Okay, George Lucas likes to make his films seem as real as possible, so he uses camera movement that is reserved for documentaries. And if you look for it, you notice that most of his camera movement is supposed to be like it's just you're watching it, but it's like it's supposed to confuse the eye into thinking that what you're watching is real. So saying it's flat isn't a criticism. Just like saying the original trilogy were well edited, not well directed movies, isn't a criticism because Lucas was known for editing most of the movies.
Drink tea and wait to talk about a trade dispute with something that looks like my ex-wife.
Two things. One, your ex-wife wishes she looked that pretty. And two, what is the problem? Says in the opening crawl they're meant to do. They're supposed to tell them robots to get off their planet. So there's not really anything currently wrong with the movie.
Ball-numbing, mindless action that the fanboys crave.
One, you're one of those people who, if you're one of those people who just says the fans are these idiots, like children, that they're like children, then you grow up. Can't people enjoy a movie? And second of all, there's a point to the action. It's to show what a Jedi is, his powers, and how insignificant the droids are, and it sets up the theme of the movie. So there's not really too much that's wrong, except for one shot where they run through the hallway. And if you don't like action, watch 12 Angry Men. And this action is meant for a purpose, so it's not mindless action. So what you said about mindless action doesn't make sense. Do you know what is mindless action though? The entirety of The Last Jedi.
I found myself utterly bored already. Compare this fecal matter to the opening of the original.
Okay, how did you find yourself bored? Didn't you say...
Who says his least favorite film in the series is The Empire Strikes Back because it was the most boringest one?
I would be embarrassed if I were these people, because 15-year-old boys are dismantling your decade-long stands. They are not using subjective language. Okay, this is my point, right? My point is, you can't stand literally like 5 minutes of political dialogue before you get action, and when you get action, you don't like the action, so what's their point? And this is the reason why these people like The Force Awakens, because all they want is action and to turn their brains off. Okay? Being bored is also not a problem per se. It's just you're a child if you think movies like The Phantom Menace are boring.
You see, a guy named William Shakespeare once said, "Brevity is the soul of wit." This just means don't waste my time.
What's better, the sentence life is death? Or that doesn't mean always, but if the shortness contradicts itself, then there are some things that need time to explain. This scene needs time to explain things.
Listen, simple. I said stop wasting my time. Stop it without saying one word of awkward, boring
Dexter Jetster is the best character in all of Star Wars, so how dare you?
dialogue that goes on for 10 minutes. We know everything we need to know just by the visuals. Rebels, Empire.
It's only 5 minutes, and not even that, they get attacked. And also it's explained in the title crawl. And also it's more complicated than just that. So, from the title crawl and the opening first few minutes, we know everything we need to go. We need to know. Jedi go on a negotiation mission against the greedy corporation, get attacked, go to planet and rescue the queen. See, that's all we need to know, and that's conveyed in more. Even though that's conveyed in more time, they both do their purpose, and I will agree with you, Red Letter Media, that the opening scene of episode 4 is better, but that doesn't mean that the episode 1 opening scene is bad, okay?
To how small and ill-equipped the rebels are and how large and powerful the Empire is. The low angle implies dominance, and the length of the Star Destroyer implies the long reach of the Empire. This shot says everything we need to know without saying one word. In fact, this is so genius, I have a feeling that George Lucas had nothing to do with it and probably fought against putting it in the movie.
Okay, did George Lucas steal your ex-wife from you? Well, why do you hate George Lucas so much? George Lucas, you have made life a living nightmare for him, and you're still not satisfied. Please stop. Lucas hating.
This comparison of openings is a small example of the overall styles of both films.
Yes, but these films are centered around different circumstances and share most of the basic plot points. And don't believe me? Look in the description. There are links that explain the overall similar plot elements of these movies. And there's an extremely clear comparison between the ending of The Phantom Menace and the ending of A New Hope. Other comparisons come in the form of in the form of the plot, like rescuing a princess, Jedi's meeting, a Jedi meeting, and caring for a Skywalker, and going on Tatooine for a duration of the plot.
They homage to the classic adventure serials of the past, the kind I used to watch when I was in my 40s. Good versus evil, the classic hero on a journey, the adventurous rogue, a damsel in distress, the wise old sage, gay robot, quest of discovery.
Okay, well, that is true, but the comparisons are much bigger. Look in the description if you want to see why. For example, Lucas does quote adventure serials many times, and the name The Phantom Menace is already an homage to many times the names used to the serials used the words Phantom or Menace. To go on about the end battle and other scenes, but I'll leave it at the title call in all Star Wars movies is an homage, like to Flash Gordon conquers the universe.
No movies are about shoving as much crap into each shot as possible.
It's so dense, every single image.
Well, yes, but do you want the film to look like 12 Angry Men? I don't think so. You want it to look like there's a lot of life in the universe. You want it to be as immersive as possible, and you want to distract it, and you want to be distracted as the idiots you are, because you can't think of the movie, so you just look in the background, and that's why you notice so much stuff
going on.
This is part of the reason why I find the special editions so f***ing offensive. Because you're into what's happening in the movie, and they keep shoving more shit on the screen to distract you. It reminds me of a child waving his...
Well, yes, but I partially agree with you in that it can get distracting sometimes, but the effects look much better in the special editions. Plus, Lucas can make what he wants. And I mean, if you see a problem with how much stuff is on the screen, you're obviously bored with the movie, or you're trying to find faults in the movie.
For attention. Doesn't Lucas realize that cluttering the frame up with is not what makes Star Wars good?
It's so dense, every single image has so many things going on.
Fuck you, Rick Berman. You ruined this too? Stop ruining... Wait a minute. That ain't Rick Berman. What is it with Ricks? So the film is called The Phantom Menace, and by the nature of the story, there is no clear villain. Hey, idiot! You're not making the usual suspects here. You're making a movie for children, right?
Supreme Chancellor, delegates...
You aren't you're a buffoon. Like, there is a black hole in your brain, and it keeps getting bigger whenever you see The Force Awakens. Because, like, we're shown in the first few minutes of the film what the motivations of the Neimoidians and why they're bad, because they try to kill the Jedi and invade a planet to gain resources. We're shown that the evil Sith-looking people are bad because they have robes, and we are shown. And children can clearly see who the bad people. We are some of them. Well, I want to say we're children, but like, there are many kids who understand this movie, so I don't understand why you don't feel absolutely ashamed for not understanding a movie made for children.
A tragedy has occurred, which started right here.
That's only 3 minutes of the movie, so what's your point? Or if you're saying that children are going to get bored easily by that, you're seriously mistaken, because it's like staring at a wall for 3 minutes. It's not going to get boring. Plus, you're going to see like all this epic stuff around it, so it's not. The children are still going to like it.
Roots, and has now engulfed our entire planet in the oppression of the...
How about a bad guy in the movie whose motivation is clear?
It is explicitly said in the beginning title crawl what the Nemoidians are doing and why they are doing it. And you can, if you're smart enough, and this is your first Star Wars film, you can see that who Chancellor Palpatine, what Palpatine's goal is, which is to become the Chancellor. No, Senator Palpatine's goal is to become the Chancellor. That's clear. You can see that, like, if you're smart enough to see that Star Sidious and Palpatine are the same people, you can clearly see their goals. And in order to be smart enough to see that, you have to be like, I don't know, 10? How old are you? Well, probably like 50.
Ship apart until you found those plans and bring me the passengers. I want them alive.
The prequels should be very similar in style to the originals, because I don't like things that are different.
You wouldn't tell Stanley Kubrick to make comedy, so why do you tell George Lucas' style should be like the originals? Well, you said legitimately, like, no joke. I'm filled with such rage that if I ever saw him in person, I would just go, ah! Because, like, you are an absolute numpty. You buffoon. You Disney puppet. There's no reason those two films should be similar. Why? Because you don't like things that are different. Then why did you watch it in the first place? I'm only responding to you to clear up some misconceptions. What you said, like, people, what you said, whatever you say, people consider is fact. And only a few YouTubers earn that award. And you earned the award of slanderous hypocrite.
3. Death and space taxes. So when you find yourself thinking things like, huh? Or what? When you're watching how illogical characters act in a movie, it's not really a good sign.
You didn't explain why the characters act illogically. Well, I think you managed confusingly. Let me give you an example. In The Force Awakens, Rey acts sad. An example of this is The Force Awakens has characters acting illogically because of how little they know each other. You not understanding the character motivations is because you're stupid. Okay?
This film with a team of cheerleaders. They came up with one unanimous conclusion. That if I let them go, they promise they won't tell nobody. Anyways, so at the end of the movie, Yoda makes Obi-Wan a Jedi Knight.
Confer on you the level of Jedi Knight. The Council does.
Even though in the opening titles it says he's a Jedi Knight.
I will agree with you partially that the wording is a bit weird, but it could just be that's the name of the Jedi Order. Like, if you are a librarian of the Knights of Templar, you are a Knight of Templar. If you aren't, that might just be because they're on a mission, and that might just because to make it seem like, I mean, he is almost a Jedi Knight, so it doesn't really make any difference. It's a very small point, but that's like extremely small.
Let's continue.
People call me a murderer even though I ain't never been caught yet. So the Jedis are there to do what exactly?
Okay, yeah, you just answered your question by referencing the title crawl, and I don't understand why you don't reference the title crawl. Oh, I know why. It's because you hate these movies unconditionally, and you will do everything in your power to slander them. Ha ha ha, silly me. You deserve whatever I'm gonna give to you.
To settle a dispute over the taxation of trade routes. Oh. So what makes the Jedi Knights experts in intergalactic trade laws?
Why would they not be taught intergalactic politics. They're Jedi, and their whole business, they're directly linked to the Republic. So I would assume they would know something, anything about intergalactic politics.
A blockade around Naboo in order to stop them from getting space supplies, which instantly causes some kind of crisis that we never see. Okay? I don't get it. Why would an organization called the Trade Federation want to blockade trade?
Well, I mean, not getting supplies from a planet for a few days is worth it if you have total control of the planet. And they're protesting taxation, and that also gives them a leg. Like not only do they get control of the planet, they're also holding the planet hostage. So there are many benefits to blockading the planet, even though there might be some level of risk of like there's some level of losing a bit of money, but then you gain more money in return.
Usually a blockade is to stop something you don't want to get in. You see, we once set up a...
Well, yes, if the Trade Federation controls the trade to the planet, they can control the planet and force the planet to give up their resources, their money, and overall just like take control of the planet and use it for their own purposes. Why wouldn't you want that? I mean, they're evil and they're greedy, so that's all the reason you need. This is a film for children, and you, sir, are one of them, but it was not made for people like you who are children, but older.
Cuba to stop the Russians from setting up missile launchers there. There was a little event you might have heard of. It wasn't a big deal, you know, but you might have heard of it. It was called World War I. Geez, you stupid people gotta learn your history right. So at the Trade Federation, we're like,
let's just keep this. Remember this moment.
Goods and services around the galaxy, then why did they seem more like a military with armies or robots? However, if they were like a bureaucracy that was in charge of overseeing and regulating trade routes, you'd think they'd be happy about the whole new space taxes. Unless all the taxes went straight to like a space Obama.
Okay.
Didn't see any of it. The point is, I'm still not sure what the...
They're there to blockade the planet, and you're just obfuscating your opinion. So, in context to merchants, banana republics and other corporations did take control of planets by using force against the people and systems of government when their companies are at risk. And corporations in the U.S. lobby millions to get tax breaks. So why would, if you were being taxed more in your trade routes, why wouldn't you, protest it why wouldn't you protest it? And this is a way that, hey, you've heard, the East India Tea Company and how barbaric they were in their uses of soldiers to control the people. Think of the Trade Federation like the East India Company or any of those other companies. So anyways, you said you need to learn your history. Well, you, sir, okay, play that part in the video where it says you need to learn your history, okay? You, sir, you need to learn your history.
And don't any of you f***its tell me that it was explained more in the novelization or some Star Wars book. What matters is the movie. I ain't never read one of them Star Wars books, or any books in general for that matter.
Okay, no. Pay attention to the movie. Pay attention to the movie. Pay attention to the movie. Pay attention to the movie! Why are you so dumb? You're so dumb. I'm not even kidding.
Don't talk about them stupid video games or novels, comic books, or any of that f***ing crap. I seen enough of that shit. I got Phantom Menace toys scattered all over in my basement. You see, my grandkids play with them down there when they come over to visit, and they leave that shit all over the place. Let me see if I can find some of them so I can show you. I'm gonna go down in my basement now, hold on. I gotta switch the cameras.
You loved The Force Awakens even though it makes no sense. So why do you hate The Phantom Menace because it makes no sense? You, sir, should stop. Like, our end goal here is to make Plinkett do another review of The Phantom Menace, or at least apologize. No, okay?
Wait,
Continue.
Are you sure he likes Force Awakens?
Yes, he does. Like, he did make a review where he said, I loved it. It was everything I hoped it would be.
Do you love TLJ or T-Ross?
No, because, like, he would have been lambasted if he did.
Okay, here we are in my basement. See, my grandkids, they come over and they play and they leave their stupid Star Wars shit around. The Qui-Gon sucker. They didn't even eat the sucker. What's this shit? Anakin something? What else did they leave around my basement? What's this? What is this? Some kind of Darth Maul toy? These kids always leaving this crap around. There. What's this? They left shit in my bin? My plastic.
This whole section is offensive, and it's offensive, and it gave me the scar right here. You see?
Darth Maul. Stupid Darth Maul. What do we got here? They didn't even open this. Naboo accessory set.
Mister.
Why didn't they open it?
Mister.
Quiet.
You just let me go. I promise I won't say anything. I'll do anything. Just let me go.
Quiet. I'm making my YouTube Star Wars review.
Star Wars.
What is
Don't
this?
hurt me.
Where's Winter?
This is honestly really offensive. It's not criticism. It's offensive. It's offensive, unfunny, distasteful, and overall boring. And I'm not like, it's not boring, but it's just, why would make this video like with that scene is so baffling.
I said quiet! I'm making my review! Shut the f***ing Anyway, so I realized that Senator Palpatine was using the Trade Federation to create a crisis to advance himself politically.
Yeah, so what's the problem? I can clearly tell you made this while drunk, rambling, and you decided just to upload it. So, my problem here is that people take everything this guy says as fact, when he contradicts himself by saying he doesn't understand it, yet he does understand it. So pick a lane and stick with it and explain why the movie fails on other terms, okay?
But the conflict from the blockade and the subsequent invasion is the entire movie. Understanding what role the Trade Federation played in this is important. You know, what the blockade was about, who was getting taxed, what kind of supplies were so crucial to the Naboo. What was it, like medical supplies?
Well, no. You just need to know they're in trouble. You're acting like CinemaSins. That's very unnatural of you. And you can assume that a planet uses resources rather quickly, and it's also like, no matter how short the blockade is, it's still gonna cause some conflict, because, like, as we later see in the movie, they not only blockaded the ships, but also the people from leaving. So there's no reason to assume that it wouldn't cause conflict.
Did they not have the capacity to survive on such a lush planet with a huge power reactor for 1 day without space trade?
Well, it's never explicitly said they have it was this whole thing has lasted one day, so the you're just inferring things, and I thought you weren't able to do that because you're asking so many questions.
Kind of mystery villain if the basics were at least clear. So when two guys wearing robes come on board their ship, Rosie the robot.
Well, it's clear, right? It's explicitly told. Would you like it to be shouted to you? And let's well, I mean, I think you tried to establish it. The motivation is clear when you can just see that, like, at a surface level, you just see that there's no. I hate doing this because you keep presenting the same arguments over and over. Present something new once in a while. I'm so annoyed.
And tells the Shatnerians.
The ambassadors are
They're Nemoidians, and okay, I mean, I know how much you love Star Trek, but please stop saying "will." But don't call them Shatnerians because, well, it just makes you look stupid. And we never see anyone else in robes, so, and it's a droid, so they're famous for their robes, and they're also part of the Republic, so it would be easy to recognize a Jedi.
Even though almost every single character wears robes in Star Wars. Then somehow this robot knows.
No, yes, but do they wear that specific robe? And also, they also have, like, everyone else in the Republic wears fancy clothing. So what's your point? You're just saying, okay, I know what your point is. The point is that this robot is gonna assume that they're Jedi, even though she doesn't have any information. She does have information, and you're just not. You're just playing stupid to convince your audience that she can't. Anyways, oh, hey, Diego, did you know that these people said the lightsaber fights in the prequels were awful?
Huh.
I'm not even kidding. They say the lightsaber fights in the prequels are not as good as those in the original, and that they suck. Like, that's something that gets me angry. Wouldn't that get you angry? This is not a review. This is propaganda.
Hey idiots, so much for the disguise. Even a protocol droid could sniff you out. Maybe it's not a disguise, but whatever.
You literally said it's not a disguise. This is not a spy mission. This is a negotiation mission. So why would they wear a disguise? What's your logic? Your logic is as bad as Lil Pump. Okay.
Form this mystery guy who they're running this scam with, a guy who looks like Satan, that Jedis are on the ship. And of course, so we can have an action scene, he tells them to kill the Jedi.
Kill them immediately.
You see, they never once went into the room to say hello to the Jedi, and that they'll be right with them. But they tell Palpatine that they are Jedis, and then they try to gas them to death based solely on the hunch of a droid. Who's fucking with my mess?
Yes. I mean, they look like Jedi, and they act like Jedi. And not only that, but, like, they're intimidated. And I think, like, ensure the peace negotiation, they would have been killed. So they, being the cowards that they are, they decided to gas them because their boss told them to.
Mayor, if you want a pizza roll, post a comment on this web zone if you want a pizza roll. Man, who's f***ing with my mess? As long as me.
Okay, so this is worse than the first part because in the first part they didn't just they didn't really have any arguments, but in this part the arguments conflict with each other. So, like they conflict, I'm gonna say twice or three times, but and they just like, I mean, they did have an argument in the first one. But this one, they just recycle it, and like instead of doing an in-depth analysis like the actual one, that like Mahler decided to go the lazy route. Anyways, thanks for watching. Subscribe to Dear Freshman of St. Monica. They have the freshest content. That rivals this 40-year-old fat guy. Anyways, I'm gonna look in the description for the referential material I used. Subscribe to Lubus DM, and of course, no, don't. Anyways, you should check out Lupus DM for his amazing content. I'd also like to give a shout out to this one video I saw that was like the video itself wasn't amazing, but what this guy created was beyond insane. Like he made a version of Pokemon, not Silver, but like Pokemon Emerald in Minecraft. So yeah, go check that out. We'll see you later around next week.
Right. See you.
Okay, bye.